Hi guys. Today in the Catholic Church we're celebrating the feast of the conversion of Saint Paul, and he is my favorite. I've done too many studies of little Saint Paul's, but I never got enough of him. Like, there is so much learning. I think personally I've learned how to be strong in my struggles because of the things I've read about him. Because every time I go through something that I know I can't do it anymore and I'm ready to give up, I always somehow reflect on how he would behave. Would he give up? No matter what he goes through, he's someone that would rather be, that would rather die for Christ than to let this world consume him. And for me, he's been a proper role model. And that reminded me of, growing up, some things which I know growing up that made me so resilient, because I really feel like in certain situation of life, especially when I face difficulties, I'm so resilient. To a lot of people, I may look like I'm a vulnerable person, but personally, I believe I'm very, tough, and in taking whatever comes, and just knowing that the Lord will help me and the Lord will be with me. And this I always told to my grandparents, because growing up, I think my grandparents were very strict with me. And the main reason for this was because I was an orphan. Growing up, my granddad used to give me so much hard work, and whatever mistake I've done, he used to be on my back. And he always used to say, "You're an orphan. So if I am soft on you, and I'm representing your parent right now, and if I die, what are you going to do? You need to learn how to rely on God." He taught me so much how not to rely on the things of this world, but to rely on God. If I'm struggling for something, pray about it. If I'm going through any difficulties, pray about it. Don't go shortcuts. Don't ask for things. Pray about it. God will do it. If God does not move or does not allow something to take place in your life, then it's not meant to be. Or sometimes, like I had cousins and all that growing up. Even when we fight, he used to tell me, "You need to be the wrong one. You have to be the wrong one, and you're going to apologize for it like a grown-up." And I always used to think he hated me. I'm not going to lie. Until I think towards the end of my granddad's life, I always thought he hated me, until when he was sick and he said to me, "Do you know that I was always the toughest on you, but my love on you was probably greater than anything or anybody?" And I was like, well, besides God, he loved the Lord with all his heart. And I was like, how come you gave me hard time, the amount of time you beat me down, you screamed everything wrong. I always used to think I can't do anything good before him. And he said, "If I wasn't tough on you, would you be this strong in faith today? Would you be relying on God more than you rely on other people, this world, anything?" And to be frank, a lot of things that I do today, like yesterday, I talk about, the power, how I always used to meditate on James 1, when I spoke of, not yesterday, the other day, when I spoke on the power of silence, how I used to meditate on James 1:19. Back then in the day, my granddad used to force me that on me. When you're angry, until you calm down, you're going to do that. Whether you're right or wrong, you need to be quick to listen. You need to be quiet. Whether you have something to say, you need to be quiet. Can you do that? Whether you like it or not, you're going to do it. That's how I used to do it. But when I'm grown, now that I'm old, it reminded me in the scripture of St. Peter, I think the first verse of 1 Peter 1, it talks about Peter reflecting that now he's an elder, now that he is grown spiritually. He can see, he can reflect on the things of the old, where you've gone wrong and what you've done in his life, what he's accomplished and everything, or how Christ has worked in him and how Christ has changed his mind and the maturity he has now as an elder. And I feel the same now that I look back. Those scriptures, those way of taking bad news, or those ways of just going through difficulties knowing that God will help me through it, has changed. he has changed because it was all because of that training. So I think growing up with my grandparents, it wasn't that they hated me or they wanted to give me a hard time, but they just wanted to teach me how to be strong, how to be a strong woman of faith. One thing I respect so much about them is they've put Christ in me, which is not just doing it, just forcing us to go for this program, go around walking for miles and miles for hours to do service and, reach out to people, but how they lived. They were ambassadors of Christ. They marched for Christ like nobody else. They were old, in their 80s. My granddad was 90 something. And when he died, my grandmother was in their late 80s. Even when my granddad was sick, they both had cancer. My granddaddy still used to walk around giving Holy Communion in the communities, praying for the sick. He would travel and visit everyone who is alone, those widows who live by themselves, those people without food. That's what they used to do growing up. And they did that until the end of their life. No matter how much, for our grandmother, it wasn't as bad when she had cancer, but when my granddad had, it was so bad, and the pain, he couldn't move, he couldn't do anything, and it was a struggle for him. But for him, he didn't see it as pain. He just felt it as something that he has a reason now to pray more and to help as many people as he can before his time comes to an end, which he was happy. I mean, if there's anybody who rejoiced for the end of his life, it's my grandparents. My granddad, he used to be so happy, saying he cannot wait to be with his mother Mary. And I see that in St. Paul's, how desperate he was towards the end of his life, how he was so desperate to help the people of Christ. This is why he kept on, even when he was in prison, and he knew if he reached Rome, his life would be ended, because he was going to be persecuted, and he was going through the struggles, everything that he went through on the journey to Rome as well. But he knew his time is so limited. Since his conversion until the time of his death, he had this urge, this desperation of giving Christ as much as he can. Even though he's in prison, he's still writing. He's written to the Philippians, to the Corinthians. Like, he used to promise to be everywhere. Like, he'll be saying, I'll be in Marcia, I'll be with you in Philippines, I'll be in Rome, I'll be with you, Rome, I'm gonna see you, I'm gonna be in Thessalonian, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be there. He wanted to be everywhere. He wanted to give Christ in every place he could. And that's something I've been reflecting on. Like, God, use me as much as you can, as desperately as you want me to be. Let me be that desperate for you. Let me do whatever you want. No matter the failures, no matter the difficulties I have to face, I am willing. Yes, I am human. Yes, I have moments of weaknesses. But Father, if you give me the strength, if you give me the grace to walk in this journey, wherever you send me, whatever you want me to do, I will do it. And I've just been praying for God to equip me now for that journey. Anything else, it really doesn't matter. And I pray for that, and I ask for you guys to pray for me, because I just feel like the Lord has been putting something on my heart. There's an urge to do something, and I just want God to equip me for that. And like I said, this is why today I'm so happy to be celebrating this day, because Paul is someone I look I look up into in terms of spirituality and guidance on just how to face this world, the difficulties of this world, without looking back at Christ and say, why did you let this happen to me? And like I said, I also saw that in my grandparents, the passion, the resilience they had for the Lord. And no matter how many difficulties they had to face, they made it look so simple. And I pray for the same grace. I pray that Lord will guide me. The Lord will equip me enough to be like that. I'm just happy to have met such people in my life. This is why a lot of people, they struggle when they hear that I'm an orphan. I've been an orphan since I was a child. They always say, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, that's the plan of the Lord. Who can go against that? But I'm going to use it for his glory if I have to. If he give me and equip me for it, I'll use it for him.